I'm going to be reading Chapter 71, The Observation. Sunlight sparkled off the skylines, new buildings were constructed, old buildings were taken down, cargo ships docked at the harbor, delivery trucks unloaded crates, bright signs flickered with advertisement, robots worked behind the scenes, and children played in the parks. Adults ate and drank at outdoor cafes. The city pulsed with energy. A wild robot overserved it all. Chapter 72. The Police. A pair of police robots stood on the sidewalk, while foot traffic glided past them. Their heads swiveled back and forth as they scanned the crowd with glowing eyes. The police looked menacing, but they sound friendly. Whenever a human walked by, they say, "Have a nice day," in a perky voice. There were a lot of humans walking by, so the police had to keep repeating themselves. "Have a nice day, have a nice day, have a nice day." Our robot was not having a nice day. She was alone in the city. She was worried about her son, and she wanted nothing to do with the police. But she couldn't avoid them. She turned suddenly she might draw attention, so they kept their eyes forward, calmly marching along with the other robots on the street. Roz may have looked calm outside, but in the inside, her thoughts were scrambled. Were the police dangerous? Where did the Ricos work? Was she about to be caught? It seemed as the police were watching Roz. Their eyes lingered on her for a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then continued scanning the crowd. Our robot felt something like relief when she made it past without incident. She went on her way, just another robot on the street. Those perky voices gradually faded behind her. "Have a nice day, have a nice day, have a nice day." Chapter 73. The Pigeons. In the very heart of the city was a great swath of greenery. The old park, it had rolling lawns and flower gardens and dense wood area. It had lakes and pounds of fountains, not fondant, sorry. It had playgrounds and benches and miles of cobblestone pathways. It also had pigeons, thousands and thousands of pigeons. The city pigeons witnessed things you wouldn't believe. Nothing shook them. They certainly weren't shocked by the robots. So when Roz marched in the middle of the park, the pigeons there weren't troubled, at least. She approached the flock that was about 100 birds strong, and cooing and strutting around the cobblestones as if they owned the place. But as Roz stomped closer and closer, the pigeons scuttled out of their way to let her pass by. However, Roz didn't pass by. She stopped and glanced around, and when she saw that she was alone with the pigeons, she started speaking to them in the language of animals. "Hello, pigeons. My name is Roz." The pigeons cocked their heads, which meant this robot is actually speaking to us. "Yes, I'm actually speaking to you," continued Roz. "I am searching for my son. He's a goose named Brittle. Have you seen him?" For the first time in a long time, the pigeons were shocked. Several of them fluttered away from the talking robot, but most were too curious to leave. One pigeon was so curious that she startled from the flock from the flock and right up to the robot. "Let me get this straight," said the curious pigeon. Your name's Roz. You're named Roz, and you've got a son named Brightbill, who's a goose?" "That's correct." "I can't believe it," said the pigeon, flapping her wings, and turned to the others. "You guys, this is Roz from Graybeak Stories, remember? You've heard..." The flock began cooking excitedly. "Have you heard of Graybeak?" said Roz. "Everyone's heard of Graybeak," said the pigeon. A while back, she started telling stories about the geese with her mother, some kind of wild robot. We all thought she was joking, but I guess not. She was not joking," said Roz. "But I have lost my son, and I do need help finding him. Perhaps Graybeak could help. Do you know where she is?" "I hate to tell you this, Roz, but Graybeak is dead." The birds all lowered their heads. Yeah, no, life ain't easier for us pigeons. We only live a few years out here. We're lucky if we're lucky, but we're especially sad when we lost Graybeak. She was one of the best. The other cooked in agreement. "I am sorry for your loss," said Roz. "I wish I had gotten to meet Graybeak. My son was very fond of her." As the pigeons gazed up at the robot with steely look in Brightbill's eye, any friend of Graybeak's is a friend of ours. If Brightbill is lost, we're going to find him." She turned to the others. You heard me, flock. Find him." She turned to the others. You start searching for a goose named Brightbill. All those words, the flock erupted into flight. Only the robot and the curious pigeon remained. By the way, they call me Strutter," said the pigeon, fluffing her feathers up. "It's nice to meet you, Strutter," said the robot. "Thank you for searching for Brightbill. What can I do to help?" You can help by staying put. I want you in this park when you return with your son. Don't hide or wander off, and make us go searching for you too. Oh, another thing," Strutter added. "Stay away from the park ranger robot. He spent most of his time taking care of the ground, but he's always looking for troublemakers." The pigeons gave a quiet attitude for the robot. Then she joined the search for Brightbill. Chapter 74, The Sky. I'll read one more chapter, and so chapter 25. Hours passed, and the sun set in the west. More hours passed, and the eastern sky began to glow. Roz spent the whole night into the park, waiting for Strutter to return with Brightbill. But there was no sign of them. In fact, there was no sign of any bird in the park at all. Roz couldn't let those goose thoughts distract her. She needed to stay alert. The park ranger robot had seen her once or twice already, and she knew heard her footsteps wherever she went. Was the park ranger following Roz? As he noticed the Roz unit's number, could he report it to the Ricos? Roz took any pathway into the woods, trying to escape the ranger's view. And then she heard a familiar calling for you. "Ma, where are you, Ma?" said Brightbill. "Come on out, Roz," said Strutter. Roz turned towards the voice, only saw leaves and branches. Brightbill and Strutter were flying somewhere above the woods. She wanted to call back to them, but the park ranger was still trailing her. Instead, she followed the sound of their voice back as they glided over the treetops. But then there came a new sound, a buzzing sound. It grew louder and closer. Air started blazing down from the sky, and when Roz woke up, she saw a white triangular shape floating above her. Chapter 75, The Ricos. I'll stop here for today. Okay, bye!